Good morning, guys. This is your schedule for Wednesday, 10/21. Remember, there is no live class today. You are still accountable for doing the quick writes. There are two signing in, giving me the time that you are signing in, telling me what it is you're going to be doing, and at the end of class, what you've done, what you still need to do. You have two simple assignments today. The first of which, the 10% rule, is going to take you to an external website that we haven't used before, but it is one called Newsela or Newsela, and it incorporates a bunch of scientific concepts in a easy to digest way. So this explains that 10% rule and transfer of energy between and among trophic levels. And then there is a quiz at the end. So I also want to, before we move on, take a look at this energy pyramid and how specifically we can see that if we start down here with our primary producers, that we start with 100%. Then at our primary consumers, we have 10, goes to 1%, 0.1, 0.01. That's the 10% loss in every trophic level. So every single trophic level is losing energy as heat, but it's also using energy to maintain homeostasis. So starting down here with the sun, this was where your 100% should have been, is the primary producers. We're getting 100% of the sun's energy. They then transfer only 10%. Oops. And every single trophic level is losing energy as heat. And I know that was a little bit confusing in your Jamboard. So before we move on, I want to just show that to you real quick. In terms of your Jamboard, that was my dog. So if we take a look, so we have our 100% energy down here. That's going from the sun to our grass. Then the grass has 100% of that energy. So the sun is giving 100% of its energy to the grass. From here is where we begin to lose it. So we have 10% that is transferred to the primary consumers, 10% to the secondary consumers, 10% to our tertiary consumers. And you kind of end up with an extra one here. And a lot of students were like, well, where the heck does that go? You could put that here, but I do want you to know that if it's at the top of the pyramid, this is the apex predator and nothing else would feed on that. In this case, it's a hawk. Maybe possible that something else could. So every single organism, it has 90% of the energy that is used in order to maintain that homeostasis. So the bunnies are using 90% of that energy that is transferred from the grass, from the producers, to maintain their functions, their homeostasis, and they only pass on 10%. And then the snakes that eat the bunnies keep 90% of what they eat, only passing on 10%. So, and then same with the hawk. So they're keeping 90%. So then everything is also losing heat. So your grass is losing 90% of the energy that it's gained from the sun to heat. So that's being lost at every single step. And we have to do that. If you just think about your body that is performing metabolism, breaking down food, if it didn't lose some heat energy to the environment, you would overheat all the time. Okay, so going back to our Google Classroom, here is your 10%. And you can see that I've got in here the link to Newsela, which should take you immediately to your account, your class. And I also put in the PDF, and this would be a great thing to study for your test. The other thing that you have for today is the energy pyramid practice. This is in Google Slides. Make sure you zoom in. It is probably going to be very small. So make sure that you click right here to be able to zoom in, and you can make it much bigger. So then just move through, use the information that we've already talked about. And here we're specifically looking at measurements of energy in calories or kilocalories, because the food you eat is actually in kilocalories. You would probably never eat something if you knew it was 1,000 times more calories than what you had, but that's the food we eat is actually kilocalories. So here we're specifically looking at if we start with this number and we know that 10% is what gets transferred, what is that number? Sorry, I stretched that. Ooh. Sorry, I made that really crazy big. So if we started with 2,500, we know 10% gets 10% gets moved. Then we'd be looking at what we'd have at that next trophic level. So it'd be just moving your decimal. So 10% of 2,500 would be 250, and then 10% of that and 10% of that. You absolutely will need to know how to do this and make 10% of any given number as we are as you're studying for your test. So just to give you an example, if we started with, let's just say 30,000. Sorry, it's really hard to draw with the mouse. Remember that everything has an imaginary decimal right here. So if we are talking about making it 10%, this is all by tens. So when we think about percent, it's by tens. So we would take that decimal and move it here. And then next, we would take that decimal to make it even smaller than that. So now we've got a decimal that is here, and we would take it and move it to the next. So that is one way you can do this, is just moving your decimal one place. Well, then you may say, well, what if I've already got it to 1? Then what? Well, then you're moving your decimal. You're still moving it, but you're making your number smaller every time. You can have numbers that are smaller than 1. So say you get down to 3 kilocalories, and you still have to make it smaller. Remember that 3 has a decimal point, an imaginary decimal point that's right here to the right of it. So we would then move that to the right, and that number would become 0.3. Make sense? So you could even continue to move that further, making that number 0.03. So that's all you need to do, but you definitely need to know how that transfer of 10% of energy, what numerically that looks like. So that is all you need to do today for your schedule. So just the 10% rule and your energy pyramid practice. Have a wonderful day. I will see you guys on Friday. Don't forget to get your leaves. You need 2 leaves, and please have access to the iNaturalist program. Have a great day.